Hi, my name is Oscar Cantu Gonzalez and I'm going to talk about the chapter 1 of biology, the science of biology. What is science? Science is an organized way of gathering and analyzing evidence about the natural world. It is a way of thinking and a way of knowing about the world. One goal of science is to provide natural explanations for events in the natural world. Scientific methodology involves observing and asking questions, making inferences, and forming hypotheses, conducting control experiments, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions. Observation is the act of noticing and describing events or processes in a careful, orderly way. An inference is a logical explanation based on what scientists already know, and a hypothesis is a scientific explanation for a set of observations that can be tested in ways that support or reject. An experiment in which only one variable is changed and the others are kept the same is called a controlled experiment. And the variable that is deliberately changed is called the independent variable. The variable that is observed and that changes in response to the independent variable is called the dependent variable. And a control group is exposed to the same conditions as the experimental group except from one independent variable. And scientists make detailed records of experimental observations gathering information called data. And now we're going to talk about the 1.2, science in context. Curiosity, skepticism, open-mindedness, and creativity help scientists generate new ideas. Curiosity. A curious researcher may look at something and make questions. Skepticism. To question existing ideas and hypotheses and they refuse to accept explanations without evidence. Open-mindedness. Be willing to accept different ideas that may not agree with their hypotheses. And creativity. Researchers also need to think creatively to design experiments that yield accurate data. The peer review. Scientists share their findings with the scientific community by publishing articles that have undergone peer review. Publishing peer review articles in scientific journals allow researchers to share ideas and to test and evaluate each other's work. In science, the word theory applies to a well-tested explanation that unifies a broad range of observations and hypotheses and that unifies scientists to make accurate predictions about new situations. A bias is a particular preference or point of view that is personal rather than scientific. Now, the 1.3, the studying life. Living things are made up of basic units called cells, are based on a universal generic code, obtain and use materials, and respond to their environment, maintain a stable internal environment, and change over time. A stimulus is a signal to which an organism responds. In sexual reproduction, self-productive parents unite to form the first cell of a new organism. In asexual reproduction, a single organism produces offspring identical to itself. And the combination of chemical reactions through which an organism builds up or breaks down materials is called metabolism. The study of biology revolves around several interlocking big ideas. The cellular basis of life. Living things are made of cells, and unicellular organisms are the ones that are made of only one single cell, and plants and animals are multicellular. Information and heredity. Living things are based on a universal genetic code. The info code in DNA forms an unbroken chain that stretches back roughly 3.5 billion years ago. Matter and energy. Living things obtain and use materials and energy. Life requires matter that serves as nutrients to build body structures. Growth, development, and reproduction. All living things reproduce. Newly produced individuals are virtually always smaller than adults, so they grow up and develop as they measure. The homeostasis. Living things maintain a relatively stable internal environment, a process known as homeostasis. Evolution. Taken as a group, living things evolve. Evolutionary change links all forms of life to a common origin more than 3.5 billion years ago. Structure and function. Each major group of organisms has evolved its own particular body part that is called toolkit. Unity and diversity of life. Although life takes an almost unbelievable variety of forms, all living things are fundamentally similar at the molecular level. The interdependence in nature. All forms of life on Earth are connected into a biosphere, which literally means living planet, wherein the biosphere organisms link together and to the land. Science as a way of knowing. Science is not a list of facts, but a way of knowing. The job of science is to use observations, questions, and experiments to explain the natural world in terms of natural forces and events. Successful scientific research reveals rules and patterns that can explain and predict at least some events in nature. And that's all. Thank you for your attention.